Welcome back. Let's try a recap for session 3, which was probably our shortest session so far. So, we started again at the fortress of Nir, where our heroes had found the dead bodies of merchants and their guards, and their wagons taken by presumably the Black Feathers brigand gang, as the bodies were all killed with arrows with black fletching. So, the first thing was to, look over the bodies. They found the bodies looted. They had their weapons had been taken, and the 2 carts with their merchandise had been stolen. The initial look at tracks showed them going back north toward the pass. Quick scout around the stronghold found no brigands had stayed behind. So the guys decided to attempt another speak with dead. For doing that, first they had to get rid of the followers of the one god, Irvin, the Blade Knight, and Vector Yaber. So those 2 went into the chapel within the courtyard of the stronghold, to do their prayers and to pray for the dead. Later on, Cormac took Irvin along to do some scouting, and Lachlan, the bard, took Vector Yaber to look for a good burial site, as at least one of the guards was a follower of the one god. Now, while these people were away, the Demorthan Arthmael took the opportunity to perform his grisly ritual and remove a piece of bone from several of the corpses, right, of the merchants, and then proceed with asking them questions regarding who had assaulted them. All they managed to... he wasn't very lucky with the dice, so all they managed to obtain was approximately a number, right? So they figure out between the tracks and the way they phrase the questions, are there more than 5? Are there less than a dozen? They figure out there's about 10 brigands who killed the caravan and took their belongings. So, they ask which way did they go, but I figured, the corpses don't really have that knowledge, right? They were killed before the brigands took their stuff, so they don't really know where they went, but the tracks again lead north back into the pass. So, let me get that pointer going. Here we go. So once again, we're here at the fortress, right? And the tracks led off north. So they decide to spend the night, make a pyre for the dead people, right? To put the corpses to rest. And I asked them, are you planning on following the brigands? And, they were reluctant to do so because they were severely outnumbered, 10-3. So they decide to start going, back toward the pass. I asked them, do you go back and report? And they said, no, we'll just keep going. We'll just avoid the brigands. So they go north toward the pass. They follow the tracks. It's an easy tracking roll for Cormac. At some point, he does roll a very high perception roll on top of his tracking, and he realizes that one of the wagon wheels has become damaged, and he can confirm it with the tracks of the wagon wheels. So at least one of the wagons is lagging behind. When they reach the crossroads right here, they do note that the brigands keep going north into the Derg Vale, but they decide not to pursue. Even though I the way I pointed it out, it was meant to convey the idea that if one of the wagons had a broken wheel, that the group of brigands was separated, right? So there would have been less brigands with the damaged wagon. Still, they declined to do so, and then instead turned east towards Melwan Vale, right, to accomplish their mission. They made a stop at this fort, right? Another one. It's identical to the stronghold of Naert where they were. Same deal. The tower itself is closed, but the courtyard is open, but it's empty. And it's a good thing because they confirm that the brigands are not hiding out here, at least not at this time. So what they decide to do, as night is almost fallen upon them, is they're going to stay the night here at the fortress. But they have enough time, Cormac estimates, to take Irvin and Victor Yaber to the Chapel of St. Nilene's over here. So Cormac goes off by himself with the followers of the one god and takes them over to the chapel, and then attempts to make his way back to the stronghold. And it is on his way back that I made a Wandering Monsters check, right? And it turns out howling of wolves, and Cormac finds himself being pursued by a pack of 10 wolves. So the way I figured it is I made opposed checks between the wolves' ability to pursue, which in this game they do have advantage to their strength checks or dexterity checks for pursuit, and I decided to make opposing checks versus Cormac's riding skill. Now there's no specific riding skill, but we figured, it was more a matter of will, imposing your will on the horse. No matter how well trained a war horse, it's still going to get spooked by wolves, right? So we made it opposed checks to see how well he could control his mount versus how well the wolves were catching up to him, right? So after the first check, a pair of the wolves catch up to him, and he still hasn't reached the stronghold where his reinforcements, basically Lachlan and Arthmael, are waiting. So, the first two wolves attack. One bites the horse, the other one bites Cormac's leg, but the armor stops the blow, right? So it absorbs some of the damage, so the teeth can't get through Cormac's chainmail armor. He manages to swing back with a sword and kills one of the wolves outright, and with a critical hit. The second wolf keeps at it, but he manages to... No, wait, that wolf stays with him. He actually does not manage to dislodge the wolf. It keeps pace with the horse, so I have him make a second ride check to see if he can make the gate, because by this time, Lachlan, being played by Neil, has described that he's taken positions by the gate, so as soon as the horse goes in, he's going to close the gate behind him. So, we make the opposed riding versus pursuit checks, and again, Cormac manages to win. So I rule that he goes into the courtyard with only one wolf in pursuit. Lachlan slams the door shut, and we go into combat. To make a long story short, Lachlan manages to throw a knife at the wolf, but misses. He only has a novice skill, at fighting skill, or, it's one of the good things about this system is that it's abstracted down to a single fighting skill. So he misses with the knife. Arthmael goes to help with a club and attempts to attack the wolf. The wolf leaps back at Arthmael and manages to bite Arthmael, so he does wound the Demorthin, but then Cormac comes in and finishes the wolf with a sword stroke. So that's pretty much where we left it. The guys are slightly injured. We also did equipment upkeep checks. This is not part of Blood and Bone, but since one of the themes that the guys wanted to explore was that theme of decay, that things seem to be deteriorating rapidly, and so what we did is we assigned dice to the gear, right, to reflect degradation of the gear. So after each encounter or use, we will roll these dice and see if the equipment degrades. Otherwise, if the equipment isn't used, like every month we can do equipment checks to see if they maintain their strength or if they deteriorate to the point where they become unusable. So what we did is we assigned some values depending on the base construction of the item, right? Like iron starts at a D10 or a D12 versus wood or leather, which starts at a D4 or a D6. So the idea is, we roll the dice, and if we roll a 1 or 2, then we degrade down to the next category of dice. So if your sword starts at a D10 and you roll anything other than a 1 or a 2, it keeps its integrity at a D10. If you roll a 1 or 2, then it goes down to a D8. So next time you're rolling a D8. Anything more than 2 means that the item retains its integrity. Otherwise, you go back to a D6 and then to a D4. And if the D4 rolls a 3 or 4, the item is still usable. If it rolls a 1 or 2, it becomes unusable, right? Because after D4, there be a D2, but who cares? We're ruling that after that, it just becomes unusable and you have to get a new one. We haven't figured out crafting rules, so how we're going to repair these items, but that's sort of the theme we had right now. So people rolled. I think everything stayed the same. I don't think anything degraded. I think Todd's armor might have degraded, but that was the only thing we had degradation issues with. So that's where we are. So it was a short session. So what I plan on doing going forwards is I'm going to make these recaps, but I'm also going to make videos talking about GM prep. The thing is, I don't want to publish the GM prep videos until after we've played the session, so that whatever secrets get revealed in the GM prep have a chance to be used. So I already made one for tomorrow's session, and I did ask for some feedback from some friends, to help me flesh out part of the lore pertaining to Loch Varn, assuming the guys are headed to Loch Varn. If they go elsewhere, I got stuff prepared for elsewhere, but right now all indications are that the guys are headed to Loch Varn, and we will see what happens. So we'll play tomorrow, and we'll make a recap as soon as possible. So I hope you guys are enjoying these, and thanks for watching. Bye-bye.